Right, folks, we're back. Another episode of the football series. Kieran's back with us this week. Kieran, good to have you back.
Thanks, Ryan, for having me again.
So we'll crack on into the treble this week. Last week, Martin, I let the side down massively. Doncaster didn't do the job at all. But this week, I am going for Chelsea in the early kickoff. They're playing Southampton. Chelsea haven't let an opponent score since Tuchel came in. The only goal they let in was Rudiger scoring an own goal. So as long as he doesn't score an own goal this time, I think Chelsea will be winning. They're 5 wins in a row now. Timo Werner's back scoring as well. The only players they're missing is Tammy Abraham and Thiago Silva. So they shouldn't have too much bad luck anyway. 3-4 Chelsea, or I think that's a great price.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I think Southampton are in dire straits at the moment. I think they've lost, 5 in a row now? They started quite well, but they're a team that if you can score against them, they play quite a high line. So they tend to come forward if they've conceded, and there's so much space behind them, and teams have picked them off quite easily this season. I know Tottenham scored a hatful the other month against them, and even when they were 1-0 up against Wolves last week, they got beat 2-1. So yeah, I think that's a great shout this week.
And then they did let 9 goals in against United as well. Can't forget that.
Yeah.
That was originally too.
They did have 2 players sent off, and so
yeah.
Well,
hopefully it'll get another 2 players off this week. Help Chelsea out. Kieran, what have you got for us this week?
So this week, I've gone for Cardiff playing Preston. So my reason behind that now is Cardiff come to great form lately. The last 6 games now, unbeaten the last 6, won 4 of them. And before that now, they've had a mighty turnaround. I see now, the 6 games before that, they'd actually lost in a row coming into the end of last year and start of this year. And the form has obviously just turned around dramatically for them. So they're coming into the game with high hopes and high confidence. So I can see them winning that game. As Preston lost the last game they played, I know the bet, I think it was Blackburn the week before. Maybe I might be wrong, but I still think Cardiff will have beaten there. They're just too good form. They're flying now. Even the football they play, it's brilliant. I've seen them for a couple of games they played there in the last week or so. I've been watching them, so I think they'll be a good price there. I think they're about 10 to 11. I might be wrong again, but I think in about 10 to 11 even money, that price. So it's also a good price in my eyes as well. So definitely going for Cardiff in that one.
I tend to agree. I was also looking to see Cardiff actually 7-2 to finish top 6. Now, to be fair, there's a bit of a gap to Bournemouth there. I think it's about 6 points to Bournemouth, but Bournemouth don't seem to be doing too much at the moment. And I think is it Woodgate has taken over? Oh no, sorry, it was Thierry Henry's been interviewed for the Bournemouth job, I believe. I think Woodgate's just there temporarily in charge. I'm not quite sure about that, but Bournemouth could be the side that's in the top 6 that might miss out. And if Cardiff carry on the way they're going at the moment, 7-2 to finish top 6, maybe a little bit of value there as well.
Yeah, definitely can always go anyway as well. That Championship is a very competitive league. You'll never know what happens in that league. It's a great league for bringing it down to white to the wire. I always find that now it's a great one to watch.
Yeah, especially coming up to this time of the season, like it's very open. Probably the top 13 teams are all still fighting for promotion, so it's crazy. Once you're in that top half of the table, you're going to be there, or you're going to have a slight chance anyway again. And
the other thing to mention about the top of that championship as well is whoever goes top seems to start losing. Norwich, they were going to run away with it, and they started to lose. Brentford had this 20-game unbeaten run, and they went top, and they've lost 2 games since. I think Swansea are a good shout, perhaps, to pick up the pieces there. They're a good price to win the league. I think they're about 7-2 to win the league. I think it's going to be between the 3 of them, personally. I don't think the others are quite close enough. I think the outright winner will come from those 3. I'm not sure which one. Again, it'll be whoever can put a run together or a guess. But yeah, it's really open. And again, with the likes of Bournemouth starting to struggle a bit, and maybe Reading are not as consistent as they were at the start of the season. Some of that chasing pack just might get up to them.
Yeah. Most competitive league in the world, in my opinion. Championship. I always find it.
It's the toughest league to get out of, unless you're getting relegated from it anyway.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Martin, what are you on this week?
Well, the first week I came on, I had Tranmere to win at home. They won 3-1. Last week I had Burton to win away. They won 2-0. So I'm actually going to go back to Tranmere again. They're at home to Oldham. Tranmere beat Oxford in the week to get to the EFL Cup final against Sunderland, who beat Lincoln on penalties the other night. Tranmere did get beat for the first time this year by Stevenage last weekend. But if you look at the reverse fixture, they actually drew 0-0 with Stevenage previously. So actually, for it to be a close game and one goal in it, you can kind of see that. So it may not be a great surprise that result came out, but it shouldn't deter me from again taking Tranmere at 11-10, 23-20, something like that. They beat Oldham back in December 1-0, and Oldham, they're kind of that mid-table. They don't seem to draw too many games. They lost to Forest Green 4-3 the other day, but they did beat Newport and Salford in January. So they've got a little bit of form, but maybe that's why Tranmere is slightly bigger than I would expect them to be at home. So for me, Tranmere Rovers 11-10, absolutely.
Yeah, and Martin, what price are Tranmere now to win the league at the minute?
16s, 20s, depending on where you go. I think that market, as I said a couple of weeks ago, that market was driven by the fact that Carlisle had so many games in hand, and Carlisle were a very short price to win the league. Since then, Carlisle have played twice, lost twice. They're now outside the actual playoff zone. Even though they've still got games in hand, they could still get back into it, and they probably will. But they're not winning the games in hand, and they're even starting to miss out on other games as well due to frozen pitches and what have you last weekend. So they've got a mountain to climb. They're still favourites, but they're not as short as they were. They're about 2-1. Tranmere have been sort of between 16, 12s and 20-1. Again, the price this week is about 20s, probably as a reflection of what happened against Stevenage last weekend. But if they were to win this weekend, and a couple of the others falter again, then no doubt the price will come back in again. And again, they're fifth, and they're 3 or 4 points off the top of the league. So there's no reason why Tranmere shouldn't be in that shakedown. And even each way at 20-1 would look value if you're in the horses and you're going to back 20-1 to place. You'd be quite happy with that, I think. So yeah. You've got to look at that Tranmere again.
Jason.
Definitely. Tell it. What were the first time you tipped them up? Were it 33-1 or 25-1?
Well, I actually backed them at 50-1 the week before I came on, and then they were 33-1 in the week before I came on the first time, and then they were backed into 20s, and they got as short as 12, and they've sort of moved out a little bit again. Again, probably because of the Stevenage result, but. They've got quite an easy run for the rest of the month. I think they've got to play Carlisle at the end of the month, but you would expect them to pick up maybe 6 or 9 points before they go and play Carlisle.
Yep. We'll move on to our big bet of the week, lads. For me, I'm going for the Merseyside derby here. I'm going for a draw and both teams to score at 5-1. Liverpool and Everton, of course. Yeah, I think both teams are going to score, and I think it's going to be a very tight game. And yeah, I think it'll be a draw at the end. 5-1 looks decent, in fairness.
Yeah,
I think you got two sides that can't win at the moment.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. And Liverpool are letting goals in, and Everton are capable of letting goals in anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah, don't want to fight that argument. Again, Liverpool have been very inconsistent, haven't they, over the last sort of couple of months. Everton started really well, and it seemed to be as soon as when they played Liverpool, after playing Liverpool, they seemed to kind of drop off a bit. Don't know why that was. Maybe there's a bit of tiredness or whatever. and they seem to have they've won a couple of games recently, so they're sort of climbing back into it. So yeah, draw seems like a sensible result. Is it at Everton or is it Liverpool?
It's Liverpool home. It's in
See,
Anfield.
it used to be the case that Liverpool would win at home or they'd draw the odd game, but now teams are winning there.
Yeah.
Different
That's
world.
very worrying.
Yeah, I also heard that James Rodriguez is wanting out of Everton as well, so that'll be a big loss for them.
I hear that myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Massive.
Kieran, what have you got for a nice bet this week?
Hey, I've gone for a little Yorkshire double this time now, Barnsley and Sheffield Wednesday. Not sure why exactly now. There's two teams I fancy in them two games, to be honest. There's not much logic behind it in my part. But two favourites in both games. That's about it. And two Yorkshire teams, and just going to go for that. I think it's about 4-1, 9-2 in about that. Not sure exactly, but going by the two prices of them, that's what it's about. So that's been my pick now for this weekend. For that.
Yeah, I mean, poor Sheffield Wednesday. They got the points reduction at the start of the season, so they always fight a losing battle, and they've actually done really well to get to where they've got to. And they do pick points up, and they are winning games. And I wouldn't be surprised if they end up staying up even with the reduction. Barnsley, I think Barnsley have beaten a couple of the top sides. Recently. So again, is that the fault of the top sides? I think they beat Brentford, didn't they, on Tuesday night?
Yeah.
Which is a fantastic result. So they've obviously got their heads up. They're looking good. Again, they sort of that mid-table. It's very difficult to predict the mid-table because you never know. I mean, it's difficult to predict anywhere, but especially in that mid-table region. And if you can pick them up on the right day, and they're reasonable prices, so 4-1 the pair sounds like great value.
Huge difference for Barnsley this season compared to last season. I think they stayed up in the very last day last year, and now they're punching, looking for promotion. Well, fighting for it anyway, at least. So massive turnaround for them this year. It's great to see from me now.
Yeah, the teams in the Championship though are very up and down. Teams like Barnsley and that. One year they'll be up there fighting, and then they'll be back down the next year. And
League One even, and then
then you're back to square one, really, aren't you?
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Millwall.
Millwall came up last year after going down the previous year, and now this year they're doing really well. You picked them the other week, didn't you? They won 4-1 at home. So yeah, Birmingham, another one. They're in the bottom three, and yet they were probably a bit higher last season. So yeah, it's a hard league, and if you get relegated, as Ipswich and Sunderland will tell you, it's a sod to get back out again.
Yeah, there's a few teams that fell to that now. It's very hard to get back up. Very hard in them leagues.
That's it. Like Portsmouth went down there how long ago, and they're still in League One, surprisingly.
Yeah,
like they're in League One how many years?
And Bolton as well is a massive one. Never got back up either.
Well, Portsmouth that's League Two as well.
Yeah,
came back up from League Two. Yeah,
not too long ago there in the Premier League. Like you still remember them in the Premier League, and now look at them.
And Hull are in League One this year as well.
Yeah, League One. Yeah.
Hull were in Premiership there. What, 2-3 years ago? Yeah. So it's
when you look at the league sometimes.
Show, doesn't it?
Yeah. You have to pinch yourself sometimes looking at the league, seeing what leagues the teams are in lately. It feels like yesterday they were in the Premier League and now in the League Two.
Martin, what have you got for this week?
Well, Kieran's got the old Yorkshire derby, or the Yorkshire double, if you like. I've gone for the Devon treble. Okay, so I've got Exeter to beat Grimsby. They're about 4-7. Exeter in the playoffs, looking to get into those top three positions. Grimsby at bottom. They're absolutely diabolical at the moment. They just lose every week. Exeter beat them 4-1 in December. So there's no reason not to think Exeter are going to win. Torquay United down in the conference, top of the conference, still 6 or 8 points clear of Sutton, who are next in line. They're playing Halifax. They beat Halifax 2-1 back in November. So again, Torquay should be winning that game. And then Plymouth. Plymouth are away at Rochdale this weekend, and they're about 23-20, and they're 8 games unbeaten, and they've got the second best unbeaten record to the top team. Obviously, is Manchester City, Yeah. So the second best side on an unbeaten run is actually Plymouth at the moment, which is quite fantastic given they lost 6 in a row previously, and now they've started to turn it around. They hadn't won away from home, and now they've won three times away from home. And hopefully Rochdale will make it another one at the weekend. So yeah, Exeter, Torquay, Plymouth, round about 4s, 5-1. If you're really lucky, and yeah, hopefully all the Devon sides are going to win this weekend.
Yep, sounds decent. And as we talked about last week, Plymouth do have the top scorer in League One.
Well, he's the second highest top scorer now because the guy at Peterborough, I think, scored in the week, so he's just above him at the moment. But I was looking at the stats actually, and the Peterborough guy scored 17 or 18, and he's assisted in 4 other goals. Whereas the guy at Plymouth, he scored 16 or 17, and he's assisted nobody. He doesn't help anyone. He just scores.
He helps himself.
He's about Jeffcott. He's 7-2 to be top goal scorer. The guy at Peterborough, I think, is about 5-2 shots. There's not a great deal in it. I'd still fancy Jeffcott purely on the basis that he would appear to be a little bit more greedy than the Peterborough guy. And I think there's a Portsmouth guy in there as well somewhere. I think it's kind of going to be between the 3 of them. But yeah, hopefully Jeffcott will bring it home. The other thing to say actually about Rochdale can't win at home, and they've only won once away. However, the first 3 games this year, calendar year, so since January, have been 3-3 against Hull, 4-4 against Charlton, 3-3 against Wigan, and they drew 2-2 with Gillingham after they lost to Doncaster 1-1. So if you want lots of goals, yeah, watch Rochdale.
Jesus Christ, you'd be doing the goal scoring market on that anyway.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, over 5.5 goals.
Be a good sweat on that one now. Right, well that's that. Then we'll move into the news. Gareth Bale has scored. Shocker.
Big time.
Martin,
how was it? I missed the goal, but you told me it was fairly good.
It was, well, I mean, let's be honest. Gareth Bale hasn't been outstanding for Tottenham this season by any stretch of the imagination, and he was put through. He stopped the ball. The defender slid 5 yards the other way, and he killed the ball in the corner from inside the box. And yeah, it was a nice bit of skill, and it looked great. You wouldn't expect him to do anything else, to be honest with you. So I'm kind of glad that he did score it. The pick of the goals was the Mora goal, where he picked the ball up midway through the half, and he beat 4 or 5 players and stuck it in the corner. So that was the goal, and I think it finished 4-1 in the end last night in the Europa League. So hopefully Tottenham are going to progress through to the next round. But one game of note was the Antwerp Rangers game. Where Rangers were winning 1-0 at half time. Antwerp were winning 2-1, and Rangers ended up winning the game 4-3. As Tottenham fans will know, Antwerp is not a place you go and get a result very often. In fact, Tottenham lost there, and I think Antwerp were at the time unbeaten at home for God knows how long. So for Rangers to go there and pick that win up last night was fairly impressive.
Big time. Yeah, as we found out earlier on in the season, it's not a place you want to be going to. Yeah. Then AC Milan drew 2-2 at Red Star Belgrade, and Red Star Belgrade had a man sent off as well. That was a huge result for them. AC Milan were one of the favourites for the Europa League.
Yeah, but again, they've drawn the game. They'll probably win the return leg quite easily. I think for me, the standout was the ex-Tottenham manager's performance at Barcelona, as in PSG.
Yeah.
Away, PSG took Barcelona apart after being 1-0 down. Were they 1-0 down?
Yeah, Messi put them 1 up, yeah.
4-1. We've seen it before. We've seen Barcelona come back before, and I don't know if they're going to do that.
Yeah, and PSG too.
It was, yeah.
I did say last week that I fancy PSG to actually win the Champions League
Yeah.
and they wear a nice price. So that's looking good now.
Yeah, I'll give it
Looking the likes of Barcelona.
Yeah.
What else happened in the news, boys? Actually, a funny story I seen on Oxford United's Twitter. Their game got momentarily postponed due to one of their floodlights went on fire. I did have a good laugh at that now, in fairness.
Yeah, strange.
And they were given big updates, so the stadium's been evacuated. The stadium has now been re-entered by the players. It was great, I have to say. It was. Anything else happened, boys?
England last week. I was lauding England's cricket performance against India. Unfortunately, in the second test, India showed how to play cricket properly in India and completely tore England apart. I think it was over in 3 days. We couldn't bat, we couldn't bowl. Hopefully, the next test we can get back into it. So yeah, we won't stick on the cricket too much this week.
And Kieran, yourself, anything stand out to you?
Yeah, just gonna say, Liverpool the best left stick there, I know, but again, Leicester they put it to them again. It was a great game, but Alisson again, just what is he doing lately? I can't wrap my head around it, especially for that goal against Leicester. There was no need for him to come out there, and he just absolutely poleaxed the man and Vardy open goal. Downhill from there.
It seems like there's a curse on Liverpool goalkeepers.
Yeah, you'd think so.
You had Mignolet, you had Karius. Now you have Alisson doing the same things. Adrian as well.
Yeah.
Heavy Reina, remember, with the beach ball.
Yeah.
That was a classic. Yeah.
So
there seems to be...
Who do you blame for the mix-up? Was it the defender that hasn't played too much with Alisson, or is it Alisson for being 30 yards outside his goal?
I have to blame Alisson myself now, personally. There was no need. Yeah, I think the defender had it under control completely. I don't think he was expecting it either. He was just knocked onto the floor. Two boys lined the floor for Vardy, away open goal. It was just, you see it in Schoolboys League, it was just ridiculous, I thought. I'd be raging if I was a Liverpool fan looking at that. I'm just sicking you.
And me and Martin do know a Liverpool fan who was raging.
We do, yeah. But the thing is, you know when your luck's out, because that ball could have gone anywhere, and it's rolled straight across the body.
Flush your blood to the head, straight out. I don't know what went through his head. But you see, he makes a world class save 5 minutes later, like, and it's just he's hot and cold. Like he is probably the best goalkeeper in the league in his day, but when he's making mistakes like that, especially 2 weeks in a row now as well, it won't help his confidence at all going forward. But hopefully he does recover, because he is a great goalkeeper. Like, hopefully he doesn't knock him down too much, because he's great to watch. Fairness in goal.
Who would you say is the best goalkeeper in the league this year?
I'd say Alisson still, to be honest.
Alisson.
Yeah.
Martin. I think it's very tough this year. Last year you kind of had Alisson, and maybe you could make a claim for Dean Henderson at Sheffield. But this year it's
Schmeichel. I think Schmeichel's played well. Yeah. I do think Schmeichel's. I'm not his biggest fan, but I'd say Schmeichel's had a really good season. He's made a lot of good saves for Leicester this year.
Yep, that's fair.
It's definitely not Joe Hart.
I think Martinez. No, definitely not. I think Martinez for Aston Villa has done very well.
That's actually a great shirt. Yeah, Martinez. That's a great shirt.
I think he's been, for me, the standout keeper this year.
And Ederson with my assist yesterday or last week.
Ederson, yeah.
Two games in the assist, 2 clean sheets. Oh, not 2 clean sheets, but a clean sheet and assist. I was buzzing with that.
What was that on your fantasy football?
Yeah.
Speaking of goalkeepers, we're going to move on here. Dundalk have signed, or re-signed, should I say, Peter Cherry. Kieran, what do you make of
that? Well, he was a great servant to our club now. I'm not going to disrespect him anyway at all, but I do think it's a step backwards. I hope he's not the first choice, to be honest, but as I say, he owes us nothing. He's probably doing us a favour of Benton coming back, and as I say, he was a great servant to the club, and nothing but respect for the man. So happy in one sense seeing him come back, but I do think it's a step backwards in one sense also, if you get me. It's a hard one for me, I don't know, but as I say, step backwards, but nothing but respect for the man, great goalkeeper.
Yeah, he had been poor with the likes of Cork.
Oh,
But in fairness to him, when he went to Derry, he wasn't as bad as he was with Cork.
No, he wasn't. No, but
But he's 37 now, so he is at the late part of his career. He's probably going to retire at Dundalk.
Oh yeah, definitely. But like at the same time, he's not a bad second or third choice goalkeeper if he was to be that. I wouldn't mind him coming off the bench for, let's say, the EA Sports Cup and things like that. He'd be solid enough for that. He'd be good enough for that. Like definitely.
Would he become a coach? Would he stay as a coach after he's retired? Do you think?
He might.
He could well do, Martin, because Dundalk did lose their goalkeeping coach this year, so he could be in as experienced for that as well as anything else. A bit like Joe Hart coming in at Tottenham, just give that experience. Hopefully then, I suppose.
Stop
it. Not that Lloris needs it or anything, but yeah, just on Dundalk. We were talking about last week about financial struggles of non-league football, and Kieran, we know all about it with Dundalk, don't we?
Yeah, 100%. I remember going to games 2012 in particular. Now it was just
2012
terrible football. You'd see better football in the Schoolboys League or the Winter League, like around the corner from our side, and you'd have 300-400 people at the game, like max, and just as amazing the turnaround. This is obviously all thanks to Stephen Gandy. Basically, he turned that team around, and it was beyond comprehension the difference from 2012 to 2013. So we came second in 2013. Now I know that, but like the only reason we actually stayed up in the league in 2012 was because Monaghan United went bankrupt or bust. So if it wasn't for that, now we 100% would have came last in the league, and we would have been relegated in the first division. And that's a very hard league to get out of. Also now, if you don't have the resources, it's a very difficult league to get out of. It's been improved in the past. Now you see Shells used to be the best team in the country, down in the first division for years. They couldn't get back up, so you definitely didn't want to get into that rut. It'd be very hard to get out of there. So thank God Stephen Kenny came in, and I know it sounds awful, but thank God Monaghan United went bust.
But one thing on that is, if Dundalk went down, they more than likely would have went bust themselves.
Oh yeah, definitely within that next year. Yeah.
They would not be in existence.
Yeah, because speaking of our teeth, we made it in 2012 for money wise, and 2013 would have been the end of all because we would still win and attract the crowds. We would have nothing, and definitely would have folded, I think, at that stage.
It was the last game of the season. They were playing Bray. I don't know if you're at it.
I was.
Man, there was only about 300 odd of us.
That's the game I was thinking of.
I remember being there. I was in the stands. You were probably over in the far side of the stadium. But I think it was the first game we won in some amount of time. But it was kind of the turnaround of Dundalk completely.
In a sense, yeah. We were lucky.
Barry Conlon was, or Martin, you might know a bit about Barry Conlon, do you? He used to play for Stevenage.
You don't want to know. Barnsley played for too.
He played for Barnsley. He played for Man City actually, didn't he?
Yeah.
But he came to us on a free deal, and look, he was nothing short of dumb.
I remember thinking to myself, like, this is brilliant now. This fella has this resume, playing in England, this is our saving grace. And he was the worst player we had in the team.
Yeah. He turned out to be the worst player we had, and we had a team full of 16-year-olds, really, didn't we?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Because we had a manager called Sean McCaffrey, who unfortunately died recently. And he was to do with something with the Ireland under
19s or
21 setup, 19s, yeah.
Maybe. It was very young, and he was young enough, but I know that. But
well, what he did, Martin, was he decided it'd be a great idea to take all these players from the Irish underage setup and bring them all to Dundalk and let them play first team football on the professional level. And it was the worst decision anyone could have ever made. The only player that was really anything older than 21, I'd say, was Peter Cherry.
Yeah.
And now he's back. Liam Burns as well. I think Liam Burns was there too, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Yeah. So the two of them were the only experienced.
Yeah, Shields as well, remember?
Yeah, but Shields was only 21 at the time.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying he was there. It's crazy to see how much he come on. I think he's our best player now, to be honest. And
when you looked at that team, you might say maybe one or two of them might make it, but one or two of them only did make it really. Yeah. And the two of them ended up staying at Dundalk, John Mountney and Chris Shields.
Yeah.
And both of them have now played 2 years in the Europa League.
Yeah, played massive games in the Europa League. Huge games they played in.
Well, I just think it's amazing how one man came into the club, Stephen Kenny. He's now the Republic of Ireland manager.
Yeah.
And he transformed the team with no money. He had nothing. He was like, make your team. You've got whatever you want, you can keep. Whatever you don't, you get rid of. He kept 3 players and got rid of everything else and signed all free agents. And we were 3 points off the top spot then the next season. And then, of course, the following season we went on and won the league.
Yeah.
And then in 2016 we were in the Europa League.
Yeah, he had a great eye for player now, Stephen Kenny. Like even the likes of Richie Towell there, you seen him. He signed him in Bluebell United. It's an amateur football team, like, and he was the best player in the league by a country. I think he's the best player in recent time for a long time. He's been now when he was playing, obviously, but he's the best player since. But you see him now, he's a fantastic footballer. Like, and he's he saved his career in a sense as well. Like, I don't think Richie Towell would be playing for Salford now if he hadn't been scheduled out by or Stephen Kenny. Like, he's still playing amateur football at Bluebell United, so it's a massive jump.
And he got Patrick Hoban, who we actually did a podcast with before, from Merview. Yeah, another amateur team. They're gone out of existence now at the minute. But Pat Hoban's now our all-time top goal scorer.
Yeah,
which says an awful lot for an eye that Stephen Kenny had for a player. Yeah, and I think he's getting quite an awful lot of unfair criticism.
Yeah,
from Republic of Ireland fans that dislike the League of Ireland.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. That's just what it is. You hit the nail on the head there. But, like, the thing is, they're saying this about League of Ireland, all, but the Ireland team don't have the resources. It's just not good enough. Like, that's the be all and end all. Like, we don't have the players. We can't do anything about it. Like, so I know Stephen Kenny, he's a great manager, but there's only so much you can do with the players you have. Like, you can't turn them in overnight to great footballers. Like, he's not going to be able to do that. At least in club football, he could kind of bring in who he sees and from different places and all. So it's a different ball game international now. You only have the resources you have, and you can't change that.
Like I suppose the player playing on the highest level for Ireland is Matt Doherty.
Yeah.
And Martin, obviously you being a Spurs fan, you know all about Matt Doherty, and you can tell us about Matt Doherty. How good is he?
Well, he came with a good reputation, didn't he? And he was going to be this, that, and the other. And he hasn't played all the time. He struggled at times. He got sent off the other week. So he's got a bit of a temperament issue, perhaps. So yeah. If he's the best Ireland have got to work with, then of course you're going to struggle, whoever your manager is, because. What can an international manager do? All he can do is go out and pick 11 or 22 players to come and work in a system that he tries to fit the players he's got into. Yeah, and there's certain systems you can't play if you haven't got the right players to do it. Which is why when we see Premiership managers come in, they get rid of a load of players and they bring in a load of players that meet their system. If you're an international manager, you have to play the system for your people, because there's no other way of doing it. I would suggest, and it can't be easy. And you got to the playoffs, didn't you, for the Euros, and then you got knocked out. Was it in the playoffs you got knocked out?
Yeah, playoffs for the World Cup, wasn't it?
Oh, it was the World Cup, was it? Yeah.
And then that was Stephen Kenny's first game in charge as well, so that didn't help either. Like, in fairness,
he wasn't even
throwing him straight in. Yeah, he wasn't even supposed to be in charge.
Yeah,
which says quite a lot. Like, ideally, you'd be wanting him to start out with a friendly and get him picking a side, letting him see what he's all about, not throwing him into the deep end in a World Cup qualifier, like in the playoff as well.
But you do see, like, I know he gets a lot of stick from fans, but like the brand of football now, you can see he's trying to play football. At least they're not just hoofing the ball up. At least you can actually see Ireland trying to play football, which is not a sight you're very used to for the last 10 years. Like, I haven't seen it in a long time. So it's good to see at least trying again.
it's easier to watch Ireland than it was.
Yeah.
Jeez, they were god awful under the likes of O'Neill. Just
it was
one
like
rate football.
Yeah, it was terrible. And it wasn't much better. Trapattoni was the pits for me, I thought. Now I thought that was horrendous football, but it was just.
Yeah.
At least, as I said, at least they're trying now. You can see they're build-up play, playing it from the back, actually trying to play a bit of football instead of hoofing it up, losing it possession, and conceding left, right, and centre.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing. You have to get the ball and hold on to it as well. Well, whatever your structure is, you got to keep that ball for as long as you can. And as we know at Tottenham, we can't do that at the moment, and that's why we're struggling because we can't hold the ball. At international, it's even worse. A quick question for you boys on Dundalk then.
Yep.
Obviously, you had the Europa League run this year. You got into the group stage. Was that the first time you got in the group stage?
Second.
No,
Second.
Yeah. We got into the group stage in 2016.
We were
the first Irish club to even get a point in Europe.
Yeah.
And then we even won a game as well. So.
Yeah.
So you said you nearly went bankrupt all them years ago. So what does the Europa League money mean to a club like Dundalk?
Everything.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Nail on the head, everything. Crazy money, as I said.
The money Dundalk got, was it this year, Garen?
Yeah.
It was like winning Air League for 100 years.
Yeah, that's it. For winning the league in Ireland, you get 100 grand for winning the league. And I think,
which is not even, I suppose, the team's wages.
Yeah.
Not even two players' wages.
Not even paid, yeah. And to put that into context, like I think 2016, I think the overall windfall was about 6.4 million in comparison to 100,000 for winning the league. So it's mountain of a difference.
Yeah. And it's a shame this year you didn't have the crowds, did you? Obviously nobody's got any crowds, but you could see had full houses with Arsenal, for example, winning home and away. So.
Jeez, that would be a great away day now in London with a brilliant.
The Irish would have been invading London.
Yeah. I remember going to places like Riga and Bratislava and all this. It's great crack and all, but just imagine being to a proper football stadium like, the Emirates. And this we would have been fantastic. It's sickening in one sense, but in another sense, the way I always said, but with the Corona, I don't think we would have got to the Europa League if it hadn't been for COVID, because that KI were given a bye from Slovan Bratislava, the team who bet us well the year previous, who knocked us out of the Europa basically playoff. So it goes both ways, I suppose. If it hadn't been for COVID, I don't think we would have been there, but we were there and we didn't get to go to the games, but I suppose we take the good from it anyway, at least, that we were there.
Yeah. And you can build on it, can't you? You got that experience now, so hopefully next year you can get back there again.
Exactly.
And get a couple of extra points and kick on a bit.
Yeah, hopefully.
That's it. They're building it. They're building a squad now that's for Europe, because they're bringing in all these European players, which is dangerous in a sense, but they're giving them 1-year contracts with the extension of another year. Isn't that right, Kieran?
Yeah, that's right. I think it's a dangerous game, but I think they're going to have to make that leap of faith, basically, because to be honest, like, the players we have are good, but like, the players in Ireland aren't good enough to play in Europa League. I don't think the players that we have access to anyway. So I think we have to outspring and get players from abroad, because we're not going to do much. You've seen this year, I know we played well in a few games, but we didn't get a point on the board. Like, we want to be competing in these competitions, not just be in them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Actually get players who will maybe step up to the mark and do something for us,
Yeah, like in 2016, we were going into the last game of the group stage with a chance of getting into the round of 32.
But that was a different gravy. Now, 2016 team, that was fantastic.
Yeah,
that was unbelievable.
It was a different breed of team, like, completely. But
I remember,
in fairness, a lot of the squad are still there, but they're kind of getting to the later stage of their career as well.
Yeah, but I remember just looking at the group stage table. It was one of the games in Tala, because the first game we drew at Alkmaar with 10 men in Holland, and I was like, that was a fantastic result. I was thinking, this is brilliant. Our first team to get a point, as you said earlier, and then we bet Tel Aviv and Tala, and then we were playing Zenit in Petersburg, and we went 1-0 up against Zenit.
Yeah,
I was like,
and then we hit the crossbar to go 2-0 up.
Yeah, that would have changed that game. To this day, you think about that now, we'd been 2-0 up against Zenit, and it would have been a different game altogether. But it was crazy. Though I remember looking at the group stage table just for whatever couple of minutes we were ahead for, and just being seen well clear top of the group stage or top of the table in the group. It was an unbelievable feeling looking at it.
Yeah. We would have been, if we had a bad Senate, we would have been on 7 points.
Oh yeah, we would have won.
Closest team to us would have been. Closest team to us then would have been 3 or 4 points then under.
Yeah. I thought it was a great compliment to us as well. I remember seeing the Zenit manager in an interview saying that Dundalk were the best team they played in the group, played the best football, and they were the hardest team to break down. So that was a great compliment to the squad at that time. Great compliment.
And Axel Witsel, he plays for Belgium. He's one of the big Belgian players. And he's at Dortmund now at the minute. He came out and he said that Dundalk were by far the best team in that group stage that played.
Yeah. But you see that
gave a serious boost.
Yeah. The one that stuck out for me though was seeing your man Giuliano come on. I think he's in the Saudi Arabian league now on massive money. But the class he had when he came on was just different gravy. I couldn't believe what I seen. He was running rings around us.
Good thing we avoided Hulk that year. That was the year Hulk left Senate. So he had been there. It could have been a whole different game now.
Hulk and Giuliano.
Shall we move on then, boys, will we?
Yeah, go for it.
Yep.
And I suppose, last but not least, we have the 1 to 100 challenge. I started well and did terribly last week. I was on 280 something, and that unfortunately let me down. So I'm going back to what actually won me the first time, and that is a Spurs and Man City double, and that's in a 3-1. So I'm fancying my chances that Spurs are 7-4 to beat West Ham.
That's brave.
Jesus.
That is brave, and they're playing West Ham in West Ham Stadium, so I'm feeling lucky.
You're going to be feeling more unlucky.
Martin, what do you go for? I'm going to play fairly safe. I'm going to go with Swansea away at Huddersfield. Huddersfield have not won this year. In fact, they've not won since the 29th of December. Swansea have won every game apart from drawing with Brentford since the turn of the year. So Swansea away 11-10. I haven't picked a winner yet for this 1 to 100 thing. So hopefully Swansea will get me off and running.
Yeah. And Kieran, yourself?
Yeah, I'm going to be the same as Martin now. I'm going to be playing it safe myself. I haven't had one up yet, so this has to be the one. And it was about Chelsea and Southampton. As I say, Southampton can see 9. They're not long against United, so I'm going to do over 2.5 in that game. I think it's about 10 to 11. It's a short enough price, but I need to get a win on the board, at least one. So hoping I can concede 9 or maybe 3 even. I'll take 3.
Well, 9 to be nice.
Yeah, be nice.
You'd be kicking yourself then. You didn't do over 8.5.
That's yeah, but can't be greedy.
No. Take what you get.
Yeah.
Anything else to add to that, boys?
No, I think I'm all good this week.
Yeah. Think so.
I'm the same. Right then, that's that for another week there, folks. Be sure to subscribe and like the video. And yeah, good luck.